Hello and welcome to the New Journey by SettleFast, a show that inspires and empowers new Canadians through conversations, stories, and knowledge. I'm your host, Gurvinder Singh, and in today's episode, we'll be talking about challenges that newcomers face in finding meaningful jobs and how to best utilize the tools that are available, including tools like LinkedIn, in finding those jobs. And to talk about that, we have our special guest today, Hammad Siddiqui, and we'll discuss the ins and outs of the newcomer's journey, tips to succeed in Canada, and how to utilize social media to grow professionally. Thank you for joining us, Hammad sir. How are you?
Thank you very much, Gurvinderji. It's such a pleasure to be here, and I always, love to speak to newcomers and those who are in waiting. Um, as a newcomer myself, newcomer in year 2000,
Yeah.
almost over 22 years now. Um, I I know the pain, and you
Yeah.
were immigrant also 10 years ago. We have been through, and I have not found even a single person in my whole journey who has not suffered.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's
Perfect.
always a pleasure to talk to the community.
Perfect. And thank you so much. This is our first episode, by the way, so we are super excited to launch this. And just before we begin into the conversation, I just wanted to, outline. Hamad has over 34 years of global experience in private sector development. He's an accomplished author as well, and he has worked in 10 different countries across the globe, including Turkey, South and East Asia. And as you mentioned, you're a newcomer, so you're fairly new. You came to Canada in 2020, and right now you provide career coaching and personal branding to newcomers. Is that correct?
So, yes and no. So technically speaking, me and my wife landed in Canada in year 2000.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So that's
So
almost
that's a long journey of over
23
20
years
years.
ago. Yes. Our daughters were born here, so we spent quite a bit of time in Canada. Uh, my wife did more. My wife spent more time than I did because I had these global jobs and I was based in Pakistan and traveling in the whole region. So, but we finally packed up and came back to kind of settle here in 2019. Yeah, you can say fairly new, but not inexperienced. I'm highly experienced in how
Yeah.
Canadian systems work, and yeah.
Yeah. So before we go into the insights, learning from you, tell us about your journey. How did Canada happen to you? What made you, move to Canada, and how did it took place?
Yeah, so Govindaji, most of the immigrants who come here, they come here for the first time. At least
Yeah.
that has been my experience. Not many people, some people come up to the US, but they don't come here. Now, more often because there are now relatives and friends. But when I started looking at Canada as a potential place, I was not really interested in migrating. I mean, one of my friends from Pakistan, uh, David Turner, he moved to a place called Kenmore, just like an hour and a half from Calgary.
Calgary, yeah.
So I was coming to San Francisco for some work, and I figured out that Calgary is not far from
Yeah.
San Francisco. So I called him. That was in 1993, I believe, 92, 93. It used to be like analog phones at that time.
Yeah.
I called him. I said, I'm coming to San Francisco. If you have some space, like very typical Desi stuff,
Yeah.
I would like to come over. He said, yeah, come over, come over. So I applied for visa. I got my visit visa, and that was my first time landing in Calgary. Um, so the whole journey of landing and the immigration and that travel from Calgary to Canmore was good enough to convince me that if I want to make a country my new home, it's going to be Canada. And
Perfect.
then the whole Rockies, I had the time to spend. I had time to see things that a lot of immigrants don't see throughout their lives.
Yeah.
And that all fascinated me such a lot. People, place, environment. Um, that, when I got married, I mean, I actually visited Canada thrice before.
Okay.
before actually applying for immigration. Because my sister migrated, my younger brother migrated, so
Yeah.
half of my family was already living here.
Okay.
So when I got married, I actually told my wife, my plan is to whenever there is an opportunity, I would settle. We can settle in Canada, and
Yeah.
she also kind of supported me, and that's how this whole. So I actually
Yeah.
started traveling to Canada in 92, 93.
Perfect. Yeah. So you're not new to Canada then.
Absolutely not.
Perfect. Okay. And as a newcomer yourself, I know your wife came here first, but you came here, recently. What have some of the challenges been, that you've experienced yourself, whether it is, being part of the community or, finding job for yourself and even starting a business as well. What
Right.
has been your experience in that?
So I think community is very strong. South Asian community, particularly. I mean, I would say even a smaller community like Afghanis and
Mm-hmm.
Bengalis and Nepalis are pretty strong.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, Indians and Pakistanis are the strongest immigrant
Yeah.
community after Chinese in Canada. So finding community and talking to someone you know and talking in your own language is
Yeah.
not a big deal. Um, uh, from airport to wherever you are,
Yeah.
riding a taxi. So that's not a big deal. That's not even an issue. The
Okay.
issue is that when you land in a new country which has different norms, different processes, different dynamics,
Mm-hmm.
then understanding those dynamics take a lot of time.
Yeah.
Although there are facilitating organizations such as Access, and so many others,
Yeah.
uh, they're also kind of overwhelmed with the number of immigrants that are coming in, and of course refugees.
Yeah.
And another thing that I say is that an experienced um, professional coming from wherever, Dubai, Saudi, or India or Pakistan, with 20 years of experience, that young fellow sitting in front of him, guiding him what to put on his resume, just does not make sense.
Yeah.
And that's really frustrating for a lot of immigrants
Mm-hmm.
because those resumes don't get them jobs,
Yeah.
and then they start getting frustrated. Then mental health issues start. So I would say I think when we start the whole process, and I always tell this to people I coach, I said you have taken the biggest risk in your life.
Yeah.
You have left your country, I mean, whether you were India, Pakistan, or wherever, or you have left your intermediary country in GCC or Saudi or whatever.
Yeah.
You have taken the biggest risk. Okay, so there is no going back. Just
Mm-hmm.
keep that in mind. Then you are not taking a little bit more risk in investing into yourself when you come here.
Yeah.
And I can talk hours on this subject because I've got so many stories of people who were doing excellent in their previous careers.
Yeah.
They came here and they just went flat.
Mm-hmm.
So I think in a new country, in a new environment, there is a terminology, it's a military terminology, reconnaissance, recce. And the process of recce is that you actually look at all the corners, you lie down, you get up,
Yeah.
and you look everything from a 360-degree angle.
Yeah.
And based on that, you make a decision.
Mm-hmm.
And often you end up doing things you never thought you would do before. Because in our countries, the usual career path is quite straightforward. Yeah, you do your MBA, you go to a bank or in financial institution, or you go to a multinational or Tatas and do your business analyst or marketing jobs. Or if you're an engineer, you're an engineer. But how many times an engineer understands that an engineer is a leader,
Mm-hmm.
an engineer is a manager,
Yeah.
an engineer is a supervisor, right? You
Yeah.
don't look at things from those angles. And that really is perhaps the biggest downside of all the immigrants' sufferings.
Mm-hmm.
Then the dimensions, how big this place is going to be. So you are just assuming, right? Because you're landing for the first time. Pearson is what you have seen. You have landed, somebody took you and, taken you to wherever, I'm talking from GTA point of view, to either Brampton or Mississauga or Milton or wherever you live. And that's the only distance
Mm-hmm.
When you start realizing that GTA is so big that you spend at least 2 hours traveling from one corner to another corner. You can't do it every day. You can't do 4 hours of travel for work every day.
Yeah.
And all that starts hitting you psychologically because
Mm-hmm.
you don't really know. Then the other downside is it's an interesting downside though, because it's a country of immigrants, right?
Yeah.
Very cosmopolitan. So people don't expect you not knowing things.
Yeah.
You walk into a bank or wherever, in any organization you go, you will find multi-ethnicity working in that one roof, under one roof.
Yeah.
So everybody would expect, okay, you don't look like a typical local Canadian,
Mm-hmm.
but you probably have been here for 20 years.
Yeah.
And that's how they're going to treat you.
Yeah.
But you had just landed like a week ago, right? You're struggling.
Exactly.
So you need to really understand that you need to seek help.
Yes.
Once you seek help, you get help. But again, in our countries, it is sort of downgrading yourself if you ask for something, right?
Yeah,
But
exactly. No.
so it's like our psychology, right?
Yeah.
That's how we have been brought up. Don't ask questions,
Yeah.
at least in my age, when I was growing up, asking questions, your parents would not give you any excuse of asking questions.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is another factor that really affects the growth. Then a lot of people start, in fact, some of them don't even need to start survival jobs, but they get into survival jobs.
Yeah.
And
I can fully relate with what you're saying. I've seen many of my friends, I came as a student, so many of my friends, even I, for that matter, we tried to get those menial jobs which had no meaningful impact in your life, but we just wanted to get something,
Yes.
And that's how some of my friends, they actually, started doing that. And I was completely, a fortunate college graduate who got a job in the prairies in Saskatchewan, in the -40s and the -50s. It was a regular scene there. But I can fully relate with what you're saying, And this year, if we take this conversation forward, this year, Canada welcomed about 400,000 new immigrants, and still, if you go outside, every business is hiring.
Yes.
And on the flip side, the newcomers are not able to find meaningful jobs. So that's a disconnect, I think. What do you have to say about that disconnect, where there are jobs out in the market, there are immigrants who are coming to Canada, but there is no bridge that is connecting, the newcomers with the businesses who are looking for people. What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, that is such a painful reality. Even in Ontario, there are about 1 million jobs available. And okay, these jobs could be any jobs really, but out of 1 million jobs, maybe another 50,000 jobs would be at mid-senior or senior level jobs.
Exactly.
The biggest, probably the reason for that is your own positioning in the marketplace. So as I said, you have to reinvent yourself, and reinvention is a big challenge because this is what you have been doing. One of my clients recently came in from a very senior position at Standard Chartered Bank in Dubai, and he is just struggling. And I'm trying to help him think, okay, you have been doing this particular job, but you have developed other skills related to the same profession, like same industry. And so his assignment now is to actually build an inventory of his skills, what he can do. So just don't think what you had been doing. Think what are some of the things that you can do. And I'm not talking about with all the respects to everyone really, security jobs or driving an Uber Eats, all that is fine. But what you had been doing is what you can utilize in the marketplace. So
Yeah.
positioning is one thing. The other thing that I have, and this is a subject dear to my heart, as you know, how many immigrants actually have an optimized LinkedIn profile? Now, over 80%, or some people say over 90%, recruiters use LinkedIn as the tool to find candidates.
Yeah.
If they don't find you, if you are not getting a recruiter's call, it means that they don't find you.
Yeah.
Yesterday evening, I helped someone with a job opportunity. Now, this guy is a developer, and developers in all those spaces have. Now, this company, this agency that actually reached out to me, has 200 jobs available right now.
Wow.
200 jobs,
Wow.
and he's given me a list of. So, and this gentleman, he came from Saudi Arabia, and he was lucky that he got a contract job with Bell Canada, but he's finishing, well, today is his last day actually, on that contract. Now, he reached out to me, and luckily I got this kind of lead yesterday from this agency,
Mhm.
and I forwarded it to me. He was jumping. Now, the reason what I'm trying to say is that, number one, you don't position yourself because you don't use the tools that are out there.
Yeah.
Number two is that you don't have a network.
Mhm.
If you can somehow manage these two things, eventually everybody gets a job. That's the beauty of this country. Eventually everybody gets it. But the time to get into that job and the time of suffering has to be minimal.
Yeah.
You spend several $100,000, well, at least five-figure amount in USD or Canadian dollar. You have come here. Now you are not really spending another $1,000 or $1,500 in getting your ATS resume done,
Mhm.
learning how you can use LinkedIn, getting LinkedIn profile optimized, using Indeed. After LinkedIn, by the way, I really like Indeed because a lot of recruiters have accounts on LinkedIn, Indeed also. But that's a
Yeah.
very entry-level positions. You don't have real mid-career level positions there. But anyways, the thing is the tool is there.
Yeah.
And you start looking at other tools that are not that effective because
Yeah.
these are tools that you have watched on YouTube videos.
Mhm.
That's why also don't watch YouTube videos. Real life is very different from what you see on YouTube videos.
Yeah. So let me rephrase what you're saying here, just for our audience who will be listening to this. You're saying that you have to build a connection or a network, and that is missing right now. When some of our newcomers, we come to Canada, that's missing. And maybe because they have been very new to Canada, they might not have the opportunity to build out those networks. And the second you're saying is, even though you may not have the network, but you can still do the optimization of profile, highlight the skills that they have to basically attract the attention of the recruiters. Is that correct?
That is right. So basically, you exactly rightly said, but let me just add to it. See, your LinkedIn is not your resume.
Mm-hmm.
LinkedIn is a search engine. So
Yeah.
what recruiters use a tool called LinkedIn Recruiter.
Okay.
And using LinkedIn Recruiter, it's a paid tool LinkedIn provides to recruiters.
Yeah.
They can do pretty interesting research on candidates.
Okay.
I have access to it through Ontario government, so I exactly know what's in it. And this
Mm-hmm.
is part of my course also. I actually created a complete kind of taken a deeper dive.
Okay.
मैं दोबारा rephrase करता हूँ.
Sure.
So I have access to LinkedIn Recruiter through Ontario government. There is an initiative between LinkedIn and Ontario government. I'm
Okay.
coaching young people how to use LinkedIn under that initiative. So I have access to that.
Okay.
And in my course, which is available online, I have actually taken a deeper dive into LinkedIn recruiters so that a common LinkedIn user should be able to understand how recruiters are searching for them.
Mm-hmm.
Then only they will be convinced that they need to work on their profile and what are some of the things they should do so that they could start appearing in LinkedIn search. So that's kind of a very big missing piece in the whole scheme, is how do you use these tools? You have that tool, you probably have some kind of a good or bad or whatever profile, but if you're not utilizing, if the profile is just sitting and doing nothing, then you don't exist, technically speaking, for people. So that's one thing. And of course, ATS resume and some interview skills. And that's a big topic, interview skills, Guruvinder. Now in Canada, everybody, refers with your first name. People coming from India, Pakistan, they start with sir.
Yeah.
Now that does not match up. So you're not kind of the adaptability factor, that we call it, right?
Yeah.
That is missing. And of course, there are a few other things that we must look at. But again, reinventing yourself, building on your skills, like on LinkedIn. Canada is one of the countries, so North America itself. They collect this data as to top 20 most search skills.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Guruvinderji, if you know what these top search skills are, and if there is a similarity between those skills and the skills you have, if you have those skills embedded onto your LinkedIn, your searchability or the probability of your search will increase.
Okay.
Now, how do you find that?
Yeah.
I have not found even a single person who understands how that works. So what I'm trying to say is that coming to Canada is an awesome experience if you want to experience it amazingly.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it won't be an awesome experience. It will be quite a challenging experience.
Yeah. Okay. So you advocate, building a network, creating personal brand on LinkedIn. I fully understand, what we are saying about newcomers, but at the same time, we have a high, proportion of immigrants who may be here for 4 years, 5 years, going into their, a 6th year or 7th year in this career, and they might be looking for a growth opportunity, so maybe some promotion or some senior, manager profiles. What can they do, to basically enhance their profile so they're visible to more recruiters for the kind of jobs that they're looking at? Because they might have done the same kind of job for over, 4 or 5 years, but what's in it for them in LinkedIn, to basically grow as a professional?
So, frankly speaking, Guruji, how many people know who owns LinkedIn, for instance? Right? LinkedIn is owned by Microsoft.
Mm-hmm.
And Microsoft is the most advanced, I would say, and the biggest technology company in the world.
Yeah.
And the transformation or evolution that has taken place on LinkedIn as a platform is tremendous.
Yeah.
Tremendous. So everyone at whatever level of experience or skills you are, you can take advantage of those features that are on LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
So, for instance, for freelancers or coaches and consultants, people selling their digital products or finding or people who want to grow, they all can take benefit. Now, first thing first, ask yourself, why are you on LinkedIn? What is your reason for being on LinkedIn? And based on that reason, work backwards and create a profile that starts appearing in search. The whole topic is, so my online course is more than 2 hours.
Yeah.
And if somebody works with me on live course, the group coaching that I do, that's 6 hours. So I cannot encapsulate everything in a short discussion. But what I really wanted to encourage, even those who have landed there, and a lot of my clients are those who have been here for several years.
Yeah.
But they only realize now that, they are not growing or they're not getting recruiters call because, they don't exist. Just to give you an example, one of my clients from Calgary, he is in supply chain profession, oil and gas industry mainly.
Yeah.
This guy, he's originally from Pakistan, but this guy speaks English, German, Japanese, and of course Hindi and Urdu.
It's quite a range of languages.
Right. And very, very skilled. He worked in Germany for Siemens. Um, and when he came to me, he was totally confused. He said, I want to do it, but I really don't know how to.
Yeah.
And we started working on it, and I showed him his potential. So we went on to LinkedIn Recruiter, and based on the search criteria, we could only find 174 people under that criteria in whole of Calgary.
Wow.
And I said, these 174 people, how many of them actually have the similar experience as you have, right? So recruiter will look at that. And also, not everyone is open to work.
Yeah.
So if you just filter everything, you probably have hardly any competition.
Yeah.
On LinkedIn. So if a recruiter is searching for you, you will appear in that search.
Yeah.
It's almost a guarantee. And he was really amazed. So we started working together, and he is now in the process of implementing everything. So this is what I say, regardless of wherever you are on your career path, you can use LinkedIn. And that's why Gary Vee is out there, right? 4 point whatever million followers, or Ahmad Imam with
big fan of Gary
followers.
Vee.
Yeah. So, I mean, all these big names are there, and they're highly effectively using LinkedIn as a platform to kind of grow themselves. Like I grew myself when I started focusing on it. I mean, of course, I never needed to before. From 6,000 followers to over 46,000 followers in 18 months.
Yeah,
and
that's remarkable.
Yeah, that's remarkable.
Following. Yeah,
it's global following. It's not that everybody is either from India or Pakistan. Of course, there's a bigger community, but I can actually find you one person in any country of this world if you want to.
Yeah. So now, just switching the conversation here a bit. So this is what you do now, right? This is what you do. This is your business. So I want to take you us on this journey of how did you start a business, or how did you build a business out of this coaching that you do, and what were some of the motivations behind starting this business? Because one of the aspect of this show is to basically inspire more in newcomers and immigrants to start their own businesses. So I'm very, deeply interested into, what has been your experience in starting this business? How did you start it? And what was your motivation behind this?
This is an excellent question, Govinderji. So when I was coming here, I was already working. So, my final arrival in Canada, I was already on a job. I was implementing the final phase of the projects that I had. And the project was ending on 31st of March, 2020, last year. And I remember that time COVID had already hit, and we almost like lockdown had started. So when I was in December, exactly this time in 2019, I had already started planning as to what I wanted to do. I never wanted to work full-time. Full-time means like 9 to 5.
Yeah.
And as I am very passionate about coaching and mentoring, and working with immigrants was one of the things that I always wanted to do. So I put everything together, all my skills, and I've been coaching people on career development for over 30 years now. I created something which is to help immigrants in their profile optimization. Repeat kar lete hain isko. So I was already working with immigrants, and I really wanted them to focus on their LinkedIn profiles. And that was my experience, because I'd been doing LinkedIn, and LinkedIn had been my passion for over 10 years, and I was learning, and I've seen the evolution. I've done a lot of coaching and mentoring session, all purely focused at LinkedIn. So LinkedIn for startups, LinkedIn for young professionals, LinkedIn for entry-level professionals. All that was like, I created those kind of sessions and delivered those sessions. So kind of brought everything together, everything that I knew and I had skills for, I just put everything together. So again, when you're doing a product, well, if it's a product or a service, you have to test it. And I never was a business person, right? So I knew business. I had been doing bits and pieces. But that was the first time on 1st of April 2020 when I started my own business. So I had to learn a lot. But of course, because of my experience, the learning curve was quite interesting. So, and it was never linear. It was like bumpy, and it has to be bumpy. So the first product that I had was a consulting service, which means you come to me, I take control of your LinkedIn. We have a call, and I would try to understand exactly what you want to do and how you want to place yourself, and based on that, create your LinkedIn profile, optimize it, and give it to you. Then what I learned is a lot of people actually get their profile done, but they don't really know how to use it.
Yeah.
It's like you have a Ferrari, but you don't put the right fuel in it, right? Or you don't put the right tire. Ferrari will be there, but it's going to get dust.
Yeah.
So I created a course. My first course that I created was an 8 weeks program, 1 hour every Saturday.
Okay.
I had about 12, 13 people signed up for the program. But what I realized is that 8 weeks is too big a time.
Okay.
And then I squeezed the program. So the content, I reduced the content, but kept the real gist of the content there so that, it does not dilute the meaningfulness of the content.
Okay.
And reduced it to 4 weeks, but 4 weeks, 1.5 hours every week.
Okay.
In technical terms, the hour that I was giving to a client or a group of clients was only reduced by 25%.
Okay.
But what I added was a lot of assignment and breakout sessions into it, just to give them more experience.
Sure.
Anyone graduating for the program, I facilitated them to become part of my LinkedIn community. So I created a small chat group in which I would give them like regular updates and stuff, and help them boost their post by engaging them. With them. Anyways, that's too technical. So when I was doing that, and by the way, my price was some of the competitors say, Amal, why you're cutting too much? So I was charging them $350 USD for the optimization and $150 for the course, which then was raised to $200 for the course. So 4 weeks course, group coaching, $200, $200 USD is nothing, right?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
You can't imagine getting that in this part of the world.
Yeah.
But again, there were still people who would not pay, who would still say it's too expensive. That's fine. They find it expensive because they don't really know the real value.
Yeah.
So the next phase was that I should start developing an online course.
Okay.
And because in online course, there will be less efforts.
Yeah.
And time is money. If I'm putting in lesser personal time into it, then I can reduce the price.
And it can be scalable as well. You can scale it. Yeah.
Yeah. So the next phase was developing that. I didn't have a studio.
Yeah.
This is my daughter's bedroom because she has occupied my bedroom at the moment, and basement is a little cold, so I'm sitting here. But it was like this environment. You can't record a course in this environment.
Yeah.
So I created a minimalistic approach. I'm a big fan of minimalistic. What's his name? The Minimalist Entrepreneur. This book. So based on that, say, okay, let's take that as an example and create minimalistically what I can.
Yeah.
And I created. So it took me about 2 months to develop one course.
Okay.
It was a long time because I was going through an experience.
Yeah.
But only 4 weeks to develop another 4 courses.
Okay.
Yeah.
So once you got going, then it was a natural flow that you gained, right?
Yes. So I knew after 2 months how to develop a course and how effectively you can develop a course. Anybody can develop a course. And as a result, now I have got 3 clients. I'm actually helping them develop their courses.
Awesome.
It's a monetized collaboration. So I'm not charging them anything.
Yeah.
But when they will sell the course, I'll get 25%.
That's
And
amazing.
we'll actually help them sell the course. So
Yeah.
what I'm trying to say is that, to cut the long story short, what I did, I used my skills and I reinvented and created a productized it properly and
Yeah.
experimented with it. And in 18 months, from 1st of April to now, whatever, 19 months, I mean, the overall growth, and the growth is not only in terms of financial growth.
Yeah.
Growth has got many dimensions: your personal growth, your collaborative growth, your
Yeah.
network, or whatever. If you put everything together, it's almost, or maybe beyond 5x growth that I've achieved in the past 18 months.
Okay.
And Gurundarji, the beauty of this whole thing, once you start selling your product, you are literally sleeping and dollars are trickling into your pocket.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's
No,
the
I think
beauty.
this is a great, advice for anybody who's listening out there and have been thinking about, whether should I launch this course or not, or if they have a service that they can offer. This is a great advice to anybody thinking about that. They should be launching it. Just get started, with something. As you mentioned, your first course took you 2 months, but after that, it was just a matter of time, and you built 4 more courses. So I think once you get going, once you have the experience in building one, the opportunities are endless in that, right?
Absolutely. You have to be
Perfect.
progressive. I always
Yeah.
say you have to be progressive. If you have this progressive mindset, and if you don't, so I said, don't get worried,
Yeah.
because worries will create more worries. There's no
Exactly.
solution.
Yeah.
Take things as challenge. If you have a challenge as a human being, you try to
Yeah.
deal with the challenge.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating. I mean, I honestly speaking, I get up in the morning, and because I can monitor everything,
Yeah.
if I look at it, and if I see if there are 20 people who are actually talking about my course,
Hmm.
um, and even though not 20 are going to buy it, but
Yeah.
at least two will buy the
Yeah.
course, and they will become part of my community. They will become my spokesperson, because they're going to talk
Exactly.
to another 20 people
Yeah.
about the course.
Yeah.
So you have to be consistent, targeted,
Yeah.
passionate to implement the way you want to implement, and don't be too greedy.
Yeah.
The greed is going to kill you. Don't be too greedy, because
Yeah.
money will flow. Money will come only once you have built your brand, once people start recognizing you.
Yeah.
Slowly money will start coming in. And
Yeah.
don't
It's
look at
mostly
these.
about the value that you provide. Value
Yeah,
is going to drive the monetization,
yeah,
not the other way around.
yeah. So I'm YouTube doesn't like it, but again, stop looking at videos that would tell you how to make $5 million in a year.
Yeah.
That's just it's not going to happen.
Okay. So as you discuss about the business that you have, did you had any setbacks or failures?
Okay, so interestingly, in my whole life, and touch wood, I never had any failures.
Or
Now,
maybe you don't consider the failures as such.
I was coming there only.
Okay.
So those failures are things that I was unable to do through a process that I had adopted.
Yeah.
So I redefined myself and repurposed it, or kind of redefined the whole process to
Yeah.
achieve my goal. I mean, remember this Tony Robbins is famous saying that if you want to change the output, you have to change the input and the
Input.
process.
Yeah.
The input and the process has to be changed to get the output that you desire. And so I kept doing it, and then you have to keep learning. So I did not know how to edit a video. I never needed to.
Yeah.
And as a minimalist entrepreneur, I had to do everything myself. I still have to do
Exactly.
everything myself. Okay, I've
Yeah.
got a platform that is hosted and a lot of things are taken care of,
Yeah.
but my video, I have to edit it. Now, I did not know how to edit, and getting it edited in Canada was very expensive. If you
Hmm.
outsource it to someone in India or Pakistan, it's not expensive, but that person is not in front of you. The
Yeah.
time difference. So well, it's still challenges. So what I did, there are, of course, pretty intense software, pretty interesting softwares. At my age, I don't think I was ready to learn that. And I started searching what is the most easiest editing software.
Yeah.
and I found Windows 10 has the most easiest editing software
Oh,
built
really?
in. Yes,
Within its native
that's right.
platform operating
That's right.
system? Oh, wow.
Windows
I
10.
should give it a try. I've never thought about, utilizing Windows Media Player as one of the platforms where I would use it as an editing software.
No, no, not the media player.
Yeah.
This same editor.
Okay. Yeah.
Editing is different.
Yeah.
So I learned it. I literally learned it in half an hour. I figured it out. How, of course, I watched a video, a tutorial, and based on that, I started doing it. And next, the biggest course that I'm launching, and I would request you to give me a minute on that course too,
For sure.
because that's related to immigrants.
Yeah.
I have done already almost 3 hours of recording
Okay.
using my cell phone, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
I figured out how do you increase the quality of picture using your cell phone.
Okay. Yeah.
How do you use tripod, the bigger tripod?
Yeah.
And how do you use microphones? So I learned it. How to use lights to improve
Yeah.
it. And I created this course, and I've already edited almost 75% of that course using Windows
Wow.
10.
That's
And
amazing.
some things are more technical because I'm taking clips from other contributors who have contributed to the course, and
Sure.
of course they are not giving me the perfect product, right? And of course, some of, like, your screen and my screen is totally different, right?
Yeah.
My screen is more brighter, your screen is more. So if I combine these two and try to, like, put it together, it won't sound good. It won't look good. I
Yeah.
have to improve yours first. So
Yeah.
anyways, I won't be able to do 100% job, but that is one thing that I have to outsource. So anyways, I kept learning, So
Okay.
this is the message. If you stop learning, you will fall. You will
Yeah.
fall badly. So don't stop learning.
Okay.
Don't be afraid of going back to college,
Yeah.
because you have
Learning
focus
something new every day.
every day, and going back to college really
Yeah.
opens up the door of opportunities for you.
Yeah.
The I mean, as like we always say, when you were born and until you die, you have to learn.
Yeah.
It's an Urdu saying, by the way.
Okay.
So that's how I kind of worked. And how do you structure the course? And I mean, it's technical.
Yeah.
But I learned it.
You mentioned that you are working on a course that you're going to be launching pretty soon, where you have edited 75% of the video already. Tell us something about that course. How would that impact the lives of, newcomers or immigrants or anybody who's learning to grow, through the tools that are available to them? Tell us something about the course.
Right. Thank you very much. So this is something that really, really fascinated me. The
Okay.
thought process itself. If I can help an immigrant in 2 hours, so just in 2 hour session, that immigrant can transform his or her thinking process and get the right direction for job search or starting a business or
Yeah.
starting a career, that is going to really kind of help me also. It would help me make money, frankly speaking, but
Mhm.
satisfaction wise also, that I'm
Mhm.
actually helping someone to get out of this suffering phase.
Yeah.
And this whole thing started last year when another friend of mine, Brent Edwards, who is a local Canadian, he's a business in which he actually coaches business immigrants to settle in the community, to start business and stuff. We
Okay.
came together and we started live sessions on LinkedIn, reinventing your careers in Canada. That's how we
Okay.
branded it.
Yeah.
So in those sessions, we would bring in successful immigrants,
Okay.
new immigrants, as well as those who have been here for years.
Mm-hmm.
And we would talk to them, what were their sufferings and how did they kind of get out of those. And a lot of them are working at very, very senior positions.
Yeah.
And that was kind of an inspiration to create a course, which would focus on newcomers or pre-arrival, anybody who
Yeah.
is looking at Canada as a place to migrate,
Yeah.
and simply take that as your starting point rather than watching 50 different videos
Yeah.
and still not getting to the gist of it. Just
Yeah.
take this whole course, and in 2 hours, you will be taken from zero knowledge to maybe 8 or 10, depending on how you take it, and
Yeah.
lot of helping material with it.
Okay.
I've created a tool for job search strategy. So one can create a job search strategy based on that tool,
Yeah.
and that will become a kind of a um, direction setter for them, or something that can set directions. So
Okay.
I'm very, very excited about this whole course, which will be launched in February.
Okay.
And as you said, for more than 400,000 came this year, another 1.2 million will be coming in next 2 to 3 years' time.
Yeah.
This country will be inundated with immigrants,
Yeah.
and if they don't really know how to kind of build themselves, not everybody is Tariq you're going to
Yeah.
meet. Not everybody has got those opportunities. A lot of us are working class people,
Yeah.
and for us, not earning decent amount of money is actually quite detrimental for our mental health.
Yeah.
So, so that's all about the course.
Perfect. And no, we are very excited to get those information pieces to our audience as well. So I'm going to put a link to your website where they can learn more about, and maybe if there is a wait list or a subscription that they can fill in already. So when the course is live, they can get a notification as well. That would be awesome. So I'll do that. Lastly, what advice would you give to the newcomers who are coming in today, not just from the job search perspective, but as an individual, how can they grow? What are the things that they have to look at? If you have to summarize it in a couple sentences, what advice would you give them?
Yeah, I always say, Gurundarji, givers are the biggest gainers.
Okay.
Givers are the biggest gainers. Um, in our part of the world, we give a lot. Like, we do a
Yeah.
lot of charity. We do, gurdwaras are full of people who volunteer, but we
Hmm.
try to hide that thing because we don't want to project it. That's the
Yeah.
culture, right? Canada is totally opposite.
Hmm.
When you volunteer, you tell other people that you volunteer because other
Yeah.
people get motivated, right?
Yeah.
And volunteerism is fascinating,
Hmm.
'cause I do a lot of, I'm sure you do also.
Yeah.
It is fascinating when you see people or young people or women, you're helping them. It's just fascinating. So one piece of advice is the first thing that you should do, rather than start looking for a job, start looking for volunteering opportunities
Yeah.
and start helping people. A lot of immigrants actually get their first jobs through volunteering.
Yeah. And
So
I
don't
fully
stop.
relate with that as well, because when I came as a student, after first week, I was, volunteering for the city of Toronto, working with the mayor. I worked with an MP there, Member of Parliament Ruby Tala, for an ethnic event as well. So, and it enriches you. You meet people, you build the connections, and those connections, they go a long way in shaping up your journey as a newcomer as well. So, thanks
Absolutely.
for sharing that.
Yeah. So there's just one
Yeah.
basic advice. You will learn everything. You have to get out and volunteer. Once you start volunteering, you will learn everything.
Hmm.
And then you will know how to brand yourself and do a little bit of things that I just told you. Your resume is important, your LinkedIn is extremely important, interview skills, build those skills, have a coach, who could help you. That initial little investment will be an investment for rest of your life in Canada.
Perfect. And I think that brings us to the end of this very fulfilling conversation. I had always been very interested in sharing the journeys and, the stories of newcomers like you, who are not only, working on their own businesses and growing professionally, but are also helping other newcomers as well, along with their journey as well. So I want to thank you that you have taken this time on 31st of December. This is when we are recording this video here. And it's been a pleasure talking to you and learning from you, from your experience and your insights as well. So thank you so much in our mission to help new Canadians succeed faster in Canada.
It's such a pleasure. Time is just a clock for me. I I work almost whole year. I hardly take any time off. because that's what it is. You are here for a certain period of time in this world, you go away. I don't want people. Well, people will forget me, but at least I'll take some interesting things and learn from them. So thank you for inviting me, and have a wonderful new year, a very successful new year. And any of your audience, if they're interested in talking to me, they can book a free consulting call with me through my website. And it's a free 15 minutes call just to kind of help me understand what they are looking for, or help them understand how I can help them.
Perfect. Thank you so much again, Hammad, and I wish you all the best for 2022 and in your mission to empower newcomers as well. And thank you to our audience who will be joining this conversation here. Subscribe to The New Journey for more such conversations and stories. We'll be back with another story next week. Until then, it's goodbye from Gurvinder Singh. This is your host from The New Journey. Thank you so much.